crazy. I give a lot of great advice, and sometimes I hardly take my own advice. So when people hear that conversation, it's like, yo, I tell people stay off them phones all the time, and look what happened. I mean, same thing came back to bite me on the ass and things like that, and that could have caused me a whole lot. But God is good. I got some good brothers around me that stood 10 toes down. You heard? So long as I'm out, they out. You heard? And it's free until we see him, and he'll be home in a little while. For real.
I guess that's what I'm after. You not running from the affiliation, even though we in an era where people are getting jammed up for shit like that.
Jammed up if you're doing crime.
Yeah.
You heard? Mm-hmm. It's not a crime to be a blood. It's not a crime to be a bang. It's not a crime to be a fraternity member. It's not a crime to be a sorority member. It's all the same thing. It's a crime if you do crime while being that, and that turns into other things. And if it's more than one of y'all doing crime while being blood, that turns into a RICO and things like that. I do business. I'm a businessman. You heard? Y'all know that. I make music, baby.
I always wanted to ask, right? You know, in past interviews, and you talk about it, bringing Bloods to New York. You ever regret that?
I didn't bring the Bloods to New York.
God damn.
You got me high.
Here you go, here. See what that
Stupid ass committed no crime. And he said, actually,
you brought the Bloods to New York. May 2nd, 2020.
After he said he made it popular. That's what I was asking.
That's a different. That's a different.
Commercializing.
There you go.
Commercializing my gang affiliation.
I understand the question now, because you made it cool, is what he's saying.
Yeah, I made it cool, but I also commercialized. I made millions of dollars off the gang culture. You know what I mean? So same thing with Snoop has done and how the West Coast. You know what I mean? So but no, I did not start that. I was a young kid. You know what I mean?
Commercialized.
Coming up out the ghetto
I think he means
and looking for, you know what I mean, my place in society and things like that. And the brotherhood always took care of me, and now you dig. Shout out to the brothers, man. You know what I mean?
But do you regret it? Because you commercialized it, you made it cool in New York.
Do I regret anything? No, I don't, because I've done so many positive things being in this position, as being a man, as being a gang member, as being a father, as being all these things. You dig? Like if I didn't have this platform, people would never know how great some of these people can be, because I put on a lot of people with Bloods, and I put all type of people in positions to make money and feed their family and things like that, and employ so many people and show so many people how to walk in the right direction and things like that, and understand there's a thin line between crashing out and trying to, and then you ask anybody, anyone that's around me, you ask them what, if I ever encourage them to do anything wrong. You know what I mean? My objective is about getting a dollar. Each one, we staying tight. The wall is up. Can't nobody fade us. Let's protect ourselves. You know what I mean? Of course, if somebody crosses the line of discretion as a man, you have to protect yourself. But for the most part, that's not my lesson. It's not violence. You know what I mean? At all. But in this rap game, we've used violence to make a lot of money, and that's what these labels egg us on to do. You know what I mean? We've see the money, and we think about the money more than anything else, and it's so easy for us to get caught up in that rabbit hole for so many of us and things like that. Just talking about things that we actually went through. You know what I mean? So for some of us, a lot of us are just, you know what I mean? But you know how it go, man.
You rap about the labels having, I don't want to say a certain responsibility, but I guess a certain responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
When you saw Leo's comments that he made up here a long time.
What he said?
He basically just was like, he got to eat too.
What he said?
He said he got to eat.
What he say?
He said he got to eat too, you know, in regards to, you know, people pushing the drug culture, the gang culture.
I mean, bro, nobody's twisting nobody's hand to do anything. You heard? This is entertainment business, man. Shout out to Leo. I've learned a lot of lessons from him. I don't agree with everything that a lot of people do and things like that, but he was one of the first people that gave me a position to be one of the biggest executives in the game at Warner Music Group. So I really ain't got too much bad to say about him.
Jim Jones up on the Breakfast Club comparing Bloods to fraternities, sororities. What do y'all think about that? He says being a Blood ain't illegal, right? It's just like being in a frat or a sorority for a female, but it kind of is, right? Because you heard him talking about the RICO and, you know, participating in a continuing criminal enterprise. And we already know, man, not even just like, yo, Blood, right, on the East Coast. Like, there's always been this thing when it comes to the whole gang culture, Crippin' and Blood, and started out on the West. And as far as other areas, drugs and stuff like that, like in the Snowfall show, they went to Little Rock, Arkansas to go push some work after the CIA and the government done put all kinds of work in South Central and the streets got hot and everything like that. Individuals had to branch out, and it's wild because right, Little Rock, Arkansas is right banging in Little Rock, isn't it? Crip documentary or whatever. Like, gangs has made their way other places over time, but there's always kind of been a thing with Jim Jones and Dipset and the whole East Coast Bloods and all that, Treyway. And it's crazy too within hip hop. We always know the hip hop police are on the case. Before the internet and the blogosphere, they were on the case following rappers around. And since the blogosphere became a thing, you know, it's like on a whole nother level, they're watching and taking notes for their indictments. But like, it's just wild because we've seen rap collectives that weren't even necessarily like claiming a gang, whether it be Blood or Crip or something else. It just, if they give their clique a name, or even individuals in the streets, if they're getting money, if you give your group a name and get t-shirts made and ish like that, it's like it brings the whole indictment percentage possibility up to a whole nother level, if you smell what I'm saying. And it's wild hearing Jim Jones compare the whole New York Bloods, right? He said, I didn't bring the Bloods to New York. And they're like, yo, man, we're talking about hip hop and rap. You made it cool. He said he commercialized it and he don't run from the affiliation, and flat out compared himself to Snoop Dogg. And there was other cats claiming blood and all that, right? Like Camron, a fellow Dipset member. I don't know if Cam was saying anything about blood way back on Confessions of Fire or SDE. Anyone out there tap in and let me know if he was, if you know, to the best of your recollection. But Jimmy really was that guy on every track, you know, like Brat. He was Big B's, One-Eyed Willie and all that, you know. He wanted everyone to know he was blooded out to the fullest, and it became trends that cats in other places wanted to rap and everything like that, made it fashionable, made it commercialized like Jimmy was talking about. And at the end of the day, he don't feel no kind of way about it. This is the entertainment business. Just like he was saying, Leor Cohen, he didn't say he has love for him, but more or less kind of sounds like that's what he was saying in a sense, you know, where a lot of individuals don't really flock like Leor with that. He said Leor put him in position, and, you know, he might not agree with everything he does, but he ain't gonna bash him like that. But something else with all this gang talk and sororities, fraternities, East Coast, West Coast, 9 Trey gangsters, Treyway, the Billies, all that. Something that has come up over and over again, and I just did a video on it recently where there was some audio that came out from Shoddy behind the wall. I think he got like 10 or 12 jump offs, man. He said, we don't bend, we don't fold. And Jimmy just said, I had some good brothers around me that stood 10 toes down. Shoddy tapped in recently as the whole Jim wiretap conversation instructing that 6ix9ine needed to be super violated, and Shoddy needed to use his words and be very articulate and let everyone know he was never a gang member. He was like the mascot or whatever. And it blew my mind and a lot of other cats' mind that when they were hitting everyone with the indictments, how does the dude that is seemingly instructing people to go dump on him, right? Would he say something like, yo, his security, he ain't got money like that, you know? Like they ain't gonna, if you go blast on them, they ain't gonna wanna put their life on the line like that. And I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing, but it just seemed bugged out that Jimmy didn't get snatched up in that. And Shoddy recently said, nah, Jimmy ain't snitch. Mel Murder said he ain't snitch. 50 Cent was trolling him again, and it came back up saying he did indeed snitch. And it's just kind of wild to hear Jim Jones address that ASAP, like as soon as the interview started, saying, I'm always trying to give people advice and tell people stay off these phones, but then I don't take my own advice, and look, it comes back to bite me in the ass or whatever. Pause. But at the end of the day, it really didn't bite you like that, bite back, because you paid no consequences for it. You weren't hit in a indictment, a fucking RICO case, which really just I've never understood this situation. So kind of for once and all, I want to open up a poll, like in the comments below. Let me know if you think Jim was indeed an informant, if maybe he's just higher up the food chain where he's super duper undercover or something like that. Hell, what is Jim Jones, like Blandone was in the CIA himself or something like that, on this modern day COINTELPRO, like make gang banging cool on the East Coast, make everyone wanting to be blooded out, put that in the music, in the fashion, have red rags hanging off your clothes, Purple City Bird Gang, everything else, you know, go stay extra'd out all the time and never stop with it, and you'll influence the youth. As I'm sure a lot of people have heard the whole conversation about how conscious hip-hop, whether it was Public Enemy, X-Clan, Tribe Called Quest, what was Grand Poobah, who was also in Brand Nubian, and Lord Jamar, man, is he looking bad these days, y'all. Endorsing Trump, dissing Kendrick Lamar, and then this flat earther-ish, like Lord Jamar just looking all kinds of bad out here. But many people have brought it up too off the top, were Everlast and Busy Bone, who spoke about that mysterious individual who was traveling to all the record labels back in the day, in the 90s, kind of trying to get everyone away from conscious hip-hop. You know what I mean? Like, and it turns out he was said to be tied into the elites, Illuminati type ish, and he owned major stock, had a major ownership piece in privatized prisons. And if hip hop was used as a weapon against individuals and growing up and just everyone in a poisonous COINTELPRO type of influential way, it could be used as a tool to influence people to go to jail, right? Like, let's take any conscious stuff, any message, and create a message of slang and work, selling crack, getting high, smoking weed. Though we got to keep that a buck. Back in the day, none of this pill pop swag, doing Molly-ish was looked at as like, yo, that's what's up. That was like you were a bass head back in the day. I don't get it. But the game changed. Conscious-ish was gone. There's a few artists that have a conscious type vibe to them, but it's just not like it was. And if you think about it, in many ways, there was a lot of rap music that was just an ultra, hey, this type of music, violence, you're pussy, I'll go, empty a clip and all that, slang and work, is influence people to destroy, not build, and destroy their own life, their community, and end up behind a prison wall. And at the end of the day, that's what some people would look at Jim Jones like, and then say, man, you're too old at this point. You old blood. Who said that? Was that the Game? Someone was dissing someone talking about old blood. I think it was Game dissing Suge. But he compared himself to Snoop Dogg. Like, he's a Crip on the West Coast, I'm a Blood on the East Coast. But I feel like a lot of individuals would say that was already ingrained in the culture and everything where Snoop grew up, where I think the 9 Trey Gangsters started in 93, right? And like, that probably wasn't always a part of Jim Jones' life like that. But I don't know, man. I'm just kind of thinking out loud about all this, as we've been seeing Jimmy in the same interview talking about he got a better catalog than 50 Cent. I don't know if they were talking about a verses or what. And I don't know, man. And these informant talks always come up. But like I said, Shotty and Mel Matrix saying that's bullish. Jimmy ain't telling no one. He's the big homie. It just still blows my mind to this day, any way you cut it, that any way you look at it, any way you bust it down. How the fuck did he not get picked up in that indictment? You know what I'm saying? Like, how could it be? It seemed like he was, again, like the big homie on there. But I don't know, man. Let me know what y'all thought about the interview. All this East Coast gangbanging, the way gangbanging traveled across the country, gangbanging becoming commercialized, the whole COINTELPRO privatized prison-ish, and everything else we touched on. And yo, anyone was Killer Cam talking that blood-ish on Confessions of Fire or SDE. I mean, from Come Home With Me and all the Dipset stuff, once Cam went to the Rock, it was all kinds of blood references, but no one in the Dips repped it the way Jimmy did. Like, Jimmy was just something else. You know what I'm saying? So hit the comments. Let's talk about it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. It's Coffee, talking music and other topics as well. Look forward to hearing what everyone's got to say in the comments as well. Like I said, let's get a poll going about that snitchery or non-snitchery. And Leor Cohen as well. Thanks for tuning in. I'm up out of here. Peace. Is Jimmy too old for this ish, y'all?